Good afternoon. I'm Justin Dewitt.
And I'm Brianna Dahlquist, and this is Primetime Sportz with GSTV. Welcome back. Today's episode will feature updates on GSU's basketball schedule. We'll take a look at some soccer highlights from their nail-biter win on Tuesday night.
And we'll also be joined by our football analyst, Tyreek Wynn, to talk about last night's game versus Arkansas State. Georgia State's volleyball team also played last night, and we'll bring you the specifics on that as well. But let's start with Georgia State tennis. The men's tennis team added an ex-Panther to their coaching staff, and if you missed it, here's the story by reporter Jasmine Presley.
The Georgia State men's tennis team is off to a good start for their fall preseason matches. Head coach Jonathan Wolf added a familiar face to the coaching staff, and just last season, he was on the court as the co-captain.
I haven't received an answer within like 2 weeks from Wolf, and as soon as I just found out the position I got was just super. Bringing in as much energy as possible into the table. I think Wolf and I have a very good relationship right now, and I think I have a very good relationship with the team right now.
Florida native Sebastian Acuna has been added to the 2018-19 coaching staff, making this the first time a position like this has been filled by a former athlete for the men's tennis team.
I wasn't kind of expecting it too much because everything was pretty last minute. We can fill in a lot of gaps that Wolf was kind of missing while he was coaching since I was playing with Wolf. If I can bring in what I was bringing in my senior year as team captain, I think we just need to stay confident on the court.
Acuna finished off his senior season as the Sun Belt Player of the Week twice. He went 16-4 in double play and 9-4 in single play, while remaining a high GPA all 4 years as a student athlete.
You, fill out your agenda. Don't miss any of the easy work. Just stay on top of the work. I want to see how much I can progress from the start of my position. There are going to be some mistakes, and I just want to learn as much from them. I want to see how I can be as a coach. I can see how I can kind of work with the team, just build an overall chemistry, and I want to see if I can actually psychologically bring out as much confidence out of these players as possible.
For Primetime Sportz, I'm Jasmine Presley.
Georgia State will look to build off their early success as the team returns to the court this weekend at the ITA Southeast Regional. While that's going on, some things are changing in another court, the basketball court, that is.
Georgia State will now travel to face ULM in Louisiana February 6th and 8th live on ESPN2. Home games versus Troy in South Alabama will be moved to Wednesday and Friday to accommodate Georgia Southern versus Troy game that will also air on ESPN2, February 15th. Georgia State will have 3 out-of-conference road games aired on these 3 networks.
GSU's men's soccer team had some success earlier this week. On Tuesday, the Panthers walked away victorious in a close 2-1 match over Garber-Webb. Take a look at these highlights from the game.
Garber-Webb played a great game, scoring the equalizer in the 74th minute, but literally only a minute later, Georgia State sophomore Artis Briggs taps in the game-winning goal off of a cross from midfielder Dylan Morris. The Panthers will face their in-state rivals Georgia Southern in their next match this Saturday at 7 p.m. in Statesboro.
The women's soccer team is in action tonight at 8 p.m. away versus Texas State, and they'll face off with Louisiana on Sunday. This will be the final 2 matches of the regular season after 2 back-to-back shutout victories. The Ladies Panther look to finish this season strong.
Now moving on to last night's action, the volleyball team had a rough night, losing 3-1 in a 4-set match to ULM, and despite the loss, senior Crystal Lee ended the night with her 5th double-double, and senior Sarah Renner ended with her 6th double-double on the season.
Now, before our football analyst Tyreek Wynn joins us, we'll share a quick piece by him. Now, we all know that Super Bowl 53 will be here in Atlanta at the Mercedes-Benz Stadiums. Well, the two teams participating, won't they need a field to practice on?
Super Bowl 53 is coming to the great city of Atlanta, and that means that all eyes will be on Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But not only that, some eyes could be here at Georgia State Stadium, because one of those teams participating in Super Bowl 53 could potentially be practicing here on this field on our turf come February. On February 3rd, 2019, Super Bowl 53 will be hosted at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I spoke with Patrick Hatcher, the assistant AD for facilities and operations at GSU, and he says one of the teams playing in the Super Bowl will be using Georgia Tech as a practice facility, and the other team will have the option of using Flowery Branch or Georgia State Stadium. I asked him how GSU Stadium can be the practice field instead of Flowery Branch, and he says it depends on a lot of factors.
Obviously, the team is going to prefer to be closer to where their hotels are, not have to drive an hour out to Flowery Branch, but it's really just going to be about the weather.
I also caught up with baseball player Dano Dees, who is really excited about the Super Bowl coming here, and he also would like to see GSU Stadium be used as a practice field.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty dope. Like, the fact that the Braves used to play here, pretty exciting, and to know that we took it over and to know that it's still active with professional teams, I feel like, that's pretty cool. Not too many universities can say that.
I also asked the baseball player who he would like to see in the Super Bowl, and just like me, he is rooting for the home team.
I want to go with the Falcons. I mean, I know they started off, low, but, I got to root for the home team. And you can't count the Rams out right now. They're 5-0. They're looking good.
Well, the big question is, what two teams will be participating in Super Bowl 53? Well, we won't know until February. I'm Tyreek Wynn for Primetime Sportz.
We're now joined by football analyst Tyreek Wynn. Tyreek, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about last night's game. Now, I know you went to the Arkansas-Georgia State game.
I did.
Give me some of your takeaways from last night. What did you notice in the game?
Well, it was a pretty good game. I mean, both teams came out there balling, but you take a look, it was a very high-scoring game.
Yeah.
Arkansas, they had 51 points to Georgia State's 35. I mean, that's a whole lot of points to score in one game. But you take a look at Georgia State, Dan Ellington, he had 250 yards passing with 3 touchdowns and also rushed for 52 yards.
Wow.
And so the quarterback, he did his thing on his side. And you take also a look at DeAndre Champagne. He got 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, a little bit too late, but he still did it. And you just take a look at the way it's separated from Arkansas. Georgia State had 2 turnovers, which really impacted the entire game. And then also that kick return that Arkansas had for 91 yards down the field and set up the 8-yard touchdown run for Arkansas.
Yeah, that kick return was pretty sweet. I mean, he goes 91 yards, at least 88 untouched. Nobody even within reach of them. But those 2 forced fumbles definitely turned the game all the way around, especially the scoop and score. The fumble that the scoop and ran into the end zone, that turned the whole game around, and they started down spiraling from that point on.
Now, let me interject real quick.
Yes.
You guys all know that Halloween is right around the corner.
Yes.
I don't believe in curses, but are we cursed? Because the last time I checked, every time we play this team, we lose.
Yes.
They come here, they whoop us up, they kick our butt, and they take names. Are we cursed? What are we, 0-5 now?
0-5. Georgia State has yet to win against Arkansas State, and that brings me to Arkansas State. What does this team do? What is so good about this team that helped them separate themselves offensively, defensively from Georgia State?
Well, you take a look at their quarterback. I mean, Justice Hanson, he had 5 touchdowns, and they only scored 51 points. So
the Black Mamba.
Exactly.
On
so
the
he
football
was,
field.
Yeah. The really key big factor, he had 3 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns, not to mention that 8-yard run that the kick returner set up when he did his 91 kick return and set up Hanson's 8-yard touchdown run.
Yeah, anytime you give up that many points, I don't think you can expect to win. Now, I know last year, Georgia State, they were looked at as a defensive team that could hold these teams to low-scoring games, but it's not the same this year. I think 35 points is a solid number. That's enough points to win a football game.
For sure.
But 51 points you're not getting any stops. what can this defense do? What does this defense need to do to give this offense some help on the other end?
Well, yeah, and you know that they say that defense does win games. It does come down to the defense, and the first thing I think is the defense needs to know how to create turnovers, get the ball back to their offense so they can get off the field and get their offense back on the field so they can score some points. And they need to capitalize on turnovers when they do create turnovers. And then also you take a look at this D-line. They need to get in the backfield to the quarterback. I mean, you take a look at Justice. Exactly. You take a look at Justice. He had all day back there, tied his shoe, called up his mom's. I mean, you know, whatever he wanted to do. Exactly. So, you know, that's really the main thing is creating some sacks.
Yeah, you got to get pressure on Justice Hansen because he literally sat back, picked us apart, did whatever he wanted to do, and that really separated us from Georgia State. Even though we did put up enough points, I know Tamir Jones had the tying touchdown earlier in the first drive. That was his first career touchdown of Georgia State history, but it's just not enough. When you don't get stops on the defensive end, you can't expect to win, and it's as simple as that.
Very evident. What else did you see yesterday?
Well, you know, I saw a few blue shirts in the stands. So, you know, when you see loyal fans come out to the games, that's really important. So we do have a few loyal ones out there.
All right. Make sure you guys support your Panthers. Now, Georgia State will return home to host Coastal Carolina for homecoming. We'll have all the highlights right here on Primetime Sportz. That's all we have for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter at Prime Sports with a Z.
See you next Friday, and you guys have a great weekend.